So this is the Space Whip.
You're bad at your own game.
I know. It's a nice little passive thing, and it promotes you like moving around with the joystick. I don't know how, at this stage, how I'm going to sort of upgrade it. I'm really bad at this game.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am indie developer Vin Hill, and I am joined by the other indie developer Christopher Jarvis.
Hello there.
So today we are going to continue to talk about what we were talking about last week, which is Chris's new venture into the world of roguelites. Because he's kind of having fun with it, but we'll get some gritty details on that, see what he's been up to, and all that sort of good stuff, and sort of see what next steps are. So Chris, how's it going, man? Like, what have you been up to?
It's going good. I haven't done a huge amount of work, mainly because my indie game that I'm doing at my day job, Focus Find, that the demo is due out on Monday, so I've been doing a lot of work there, and it's taken up quite a lot of time.
Wishlist on Steam.
Wishlist on Steam. Demo's out on Monday. Make sure you leave a review. What I've done is just basically two weapons, which are very, very similar. A space whip and a space mace. And if I share my screen... There we go. So, the firing is happening automatically.
Yeah.
Oh, I've already died. I lose the whip. So this is the space whip.
You're bad at your own game.
I know. It's because of the meeting thing. Okay. So, I've got the space whip, which is... physics based, so it can swoop around and it can whip enemies. Instant death at the moment, but we need to work on leveling.
Yeah.
And it's physics based, so it's got nice, natural, realistic movements. When it hits a physics based enemy, the whip reacts accordingly. So you lose the momentum of the whip once you've hit an enemy. So it's a nice little passive thing, and it promotes you like moving around with the joystick. So I've got the joystick on the controller, and it promotes you like twizzling around, changing your playstyle than if you were just using just directional. I died and I lost the whip there because I died. I've got you can see that the enemies are moving randomly, but they should be homing in on the enemy. Oh look, there's the whip. Oh, it's come back to me. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's interesting. And the spawning doesn't max out, so there isn't a maximum amount, so it just keeps spawning and spawning. And I think the reason why I died is just because an enemy spawned on my location as well, which again is something I need to change.
Yeah.
So that's the space whip, and now I'll show you the space mace. So I will activate the mace, and I will deactivate the whip. A bit interesting to see what both of them are like, actually.
Well, at the same time.
Yeah.
You probably have to put them on like opposite polars, right? So like they're always sort of spinning around themselves. So.
Oh. Yeah. And the mace is slightly different to the whip. So the mace ball is actually attached to the spaceship, whereas the whip, all the segments are attached to each other, and then the chain is basically just for show. So the chain doesn't hit anything. It just attaches to itself to make it look like it's a ball and chain, basically, like a mace.
Yeah.
And so the idea there is that I can maintain the distance of the mace to the spaceship a bit easier, with less calculations. I'm not very good at this game, am I? And the idea is that I'll be able to upgrade the mace so it will get bigger, or heavier, or longer chain. I don't know how, at this stage, how I'm going to sort of upgrade it. I'm really bad at this game. It's because I'll tell you why I'm bad at the game. It's because the...
Here come the excuses, people.
Yeah, it's because the capsules are just generic hexagons. They're not assigned to the actual shape of the enemy. Okay. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But so now I've got this conundrum. It's like, do I just make a load of weapons first and then try to balance it afterwards, or do I try and do like a health system or a point system? I've got to do them all eventually. What's the most effective, realistic order
I mean,
to do the work in?
How I would do it is just, now that you've got some enemies, you got your locomotion in, just come up with as many abilities as you can, like in the most basic sense. We talked a little bit about this in the pre-show, but like just the idea of, stripping away all of the aesthetic stuff and just working purely on like what benefits can I give to the player to make them feel powerful, basically. And like having fun with it. Like basically what you're doing now with the whip and the ball and chain and stuff. Like expand that out to other abilities. So think about like we've spoken about this in the past, but the concept of like combat chess and things, like how those sort of balance each other out as not in like raw numbers or anything, in terms of like how much health they do and how much damage and all of that sort of stuff. Think about it in terms of just pure fun factor, and the balance of all that sort of stuff. So if you pick up a ball and chain, then you pick up a whip, it's kind of diminishing returns because it's the same mechanic technically. So you then want to start thinking about, okay, what abilities would complement those things, like a little drone or something that fires missiles down on people, or like a radial attack, or like line attacks that just go like across the entire screen back and forth. Like maybe it like flashes red or something, like a hologram, like where it's going to hit, and then you can direct your ship in a way, and then it just does like a firing line, like front and back, like throughout the whole level sort of thing, just so like attacks like that. And then you can upgrade that to be a big X instead, and then it can upgrade into a star, like just stupid stuff like that. Just think about that in terms of raw numbers and just implement them and try them out in the most basic sense without them looking good in any respect, and just think about it that way. And then you can start implementing health and really getting into the nitty-gritty about balance and stuff. That's what I would do anyway. That's how I would tackle it. Just think about it in the most grey boxy sense that you can get it in.
Yeah, so all of the weapons in there stripped down, just like having white boxes to represent what they are and where they're attacking and things.
Because like thinking on like Vampire Survivors is like the key inspiration for this game anyway. Like the enemies themselves don't really do anything different. Like all they are is just sprites. That's it. They don't have any other attributes of attacks other than just the amount of defense they've got. So their attack are pretty much all the same. Like if they come into contact with a player, then they take away a certain amount of health.
It's just their movement that's different.
Universal.
If they're in a swarm, and their shape. So if they fly in a swarm, if they attack in a circle or a square, or if they spawn randomly. Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like as long as you've got one enemy, and then you can really duplicate that and replicate it out. So like now that you've already got an enemy though, like just have a play around, see what feels good in terms of abilities and stuff. Because first you wanna get that feeling of the player feeling like a badass first, right? Like that's the main thing. Because that's what happens in Vampire Survivors at some point. Like you level up enough that you're just there's just waves coming in, and you're just there with your garlic and it's just missiles, and it's like you can't touch me. You just feel like a god. That's why the game is so popular, is because it gives you that feeling. And if you can achieve that now, because if you start implementing health systems, you're automatically going to go into the balancer mode, and you're going to be like, that's too hard, that's too easy, and it's just you're going to micromanage everything as it comes in, which is just a dangerous, no pun intended, game to play basically, which you don't really want to do that. Like you want to go too far, and then you want to bring it back when you start putting in the health and stuff and really figuring that out and fine tuning it so it feels challenging, not just like feeling like a badass.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and that's also extremely fun. Like thinking of weapons and then implementing them and then seeing them work is actually really fun.
I know, like how the game looks can always be done later. You know what I mean? Like, I know I did a little bit of concept art for you and stuff, but it's a lot of that doesn't even need to be. You don't have to worry about that yet. You can just think about everything in grey box for now, and just it has to be fun before it looks pretty. That that old mantra which I never shut up about. It's that idea of just keep everything in grey box as long as you possibly can, because the longer you keep it in grey box, the funner it'll get. That's how I sort of see games development for the most part. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a funny old business.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something. And yeah, I will show Vin's art. Is that as big as it can go?
No, you open in browser.
Open in browser.
No, still doing it wrong. Click. Open in browser, bottom left hand corner.
Oh. Okay, cool. So here is a concept art piece that Vin did for the game. And it looks amazing. So you've got the ship, you've got the shadow, you've got the ball and chain. Are these robots?
Yeah, for now, I found an image online.
Yeah.
This isn't like, I'm never going to release this, so like if it's your robot, I apologize. I found some robots online.
Yeah, it's meant for prototyping.
It's internal purposes, yeah.
It's internal. We're not going to
We'll never make money off this concept art, I promise.
No. And you've got like the advertisements along the side, and you've got like the crowd in the background. You had this idea of like the crowd coming along and appearing. Like we might have the crowd appearing, or we might have a reason why
the
there's
idea
a fixed
was
arena.
around that was the Plinko board that you were talking about last week, where like it sort of the original idea which you had was to keep the Plinko board like that's the whole arena sort of thing, and then the Plinko dots show up, and then when you die, like you bounce through, and then you land in the right slot to get a reward. But after playing Vampire Survivors, it dawned on me instantly. It was just like, yeah, no, this is never going to work in a confined space. The reason why Vampire Survivors is so good is because it has no walls, it has no boundaries, but it does have walls and boundaries when boss fights hit in. So the idea is like the crowd, like these hovercraft crowd sections float in from the sides, like when it's a boss area or something, and a boss like appears. And then after you beat a boss, then maybe like you drop down through the Plinko board, get a reward, and then the walls clear out, and then you carry on, instead of it just being a only when you die sort of thing. I mean, you can have it when you die as well, but I think it would be a good use of that, and then you could aesthetically do that a lot easier as well. And if not, then you can have like a sandy hole like open up in the ground or something, you know, like the old like typical tropey sci-fi where the sand like falls in. And the ship falls in, then it's in the Plinko board with the boss area in the dark or something, or the floodlights come on one after another. And there's a crowd in there that are throwing bombs at you, or they throw power-ups for
money
you and stuff. Money, you know, just like random stuff like that. And you, at the same time, you're trying to kill this boss. And then afterwards, it can like rise you up, and then you come back into the main level again or something. It'd be super easy to do because it's all aesthetics. But yeah, that's the sort of running idea with the crowd anyway. Like they would be interactive as well in a way, because this is meant to be like a, you know, Mad Max style Metrodome sort of, what you call it, type arena thing where it's like gladiators, you know, and they're all cheering for their favorite. So they would be throwing stuff in to, you know, help or hinder the player.
What's that Arnold Schwarzenegger game film about?
The Running Man.
Running Man, yeah. That's great. I love that film. Yeah, so yeah, that could be a cool influence as well. Except it's except spaceships. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So yeah, I'll do some more weapons then and see what we can come up with and get them working in tandem with each other, and then like have a maximum of 5. Is that what we said that Vampire Survivors has got? I've not even maxed out
abilities in Vampire Survivors.
Survivors.
There's about 16 or something. There's a lot.
Right.
But a lot of them
they're
are
all
duplicates.
Yeah, they just taste different. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do that. So I was going to do like a missile that goes around the outside, that flies around the outside, and again you can have like missiles that like heat-seeking missiles that go to the nearest enemy.
Yeah.
You could have like turrets which rotate to the nearest enemy and fire a gun or something. The laser thing, I like the idea of that. I think that's pretty cool. Like exhaust vents are out the side, so like you could have like fire jets out the side of your heat sink sort of thing.
Yeah.
Out the side of your craft, like a laser beam.
Yeah,
I know
like I
we've got
said, I
lasers.
think a really good point of reference for you would be go and check out some like old Sega Saturn shmups, like the shoot 'em
Yeah,
ups, like the vertical arcade ones with the gun with the ships at the bottom.
yeah,
Because the abilities that they got in those are very reminiscent of like Vampire Survivors and reminiscent of what you're talking about. It's, like if you were to ignore that as a reference, it'd just be a massive disservice. Like you should
yeah.
absolutely go and look at that stuff
It's
because
all right there.
you'll find some gems in there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like Lilac Wars as well. I should probably check that
Yep,
out.
similar thing. Yep.
Yeah, which was for the Americans watching Star Fox.
Yes.
Was called.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good then. I think we're done.
Cool. All right. Well, if you are interested in Chris's game, then make sure you go and follow him at Acrylic Pixel on all things social media, including Patreon now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Acrylic Pixel on Patreon. I should probably put some of this stuff up on there.
Probably, yeah. Probably. Yeah. Might be a
Yeah.
good idea. Yeah. But yeah, if you're interested in anything to do with Chris stuff, yeah, Acrylic Pixel once again. If you're interested in anything that I'm up to, go check out Hillfort Games on all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that sort of good stuff. And you will find my game Long Gone. Make sure you wishlist both of our games on Steam. That is Focus Fine for Chris, and that is Long Gone for me. And yeah, until next time, we'll catch you later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.